Welcome back. Joining us via Skype is Professor Oyewale Tomori. He's the Chairman, Ministerial Committee on the COVID-19 Response, former Regional Virologist of the WHO Africa region. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Professor, I want to start with the infection spread across the African continent. Have there been any successes? And this is in spite of the rise in COVID-19 cases.
No, I don't think we have had much success as such, because many of the countries we are still seeing rising number of cases in the different African countries. Some of the ones where we are not getting results is just that they are not reporting, not because there are no cases. So I think we are still climbing up. We have not flattened the curve yet.
So if we look at the West African region, Nigeria is number one. Afterwards, you have Ghana. And in the last week, I think Nigeria tested about 48,000 in a week, but we're still far behind. How can we improve our testing?
Well, what they're doing now, you need to get more labs. I think currently we have about 60 laboratories that are testing. This has after about 4 months that we're able to get 60 laboratories in place, which I think is very slow. I also believe that if we had used what we had before, what we call the Gen Expert laboratories that are all over the country, about 400 of them, if we had started with that around March, I think we'll be in a better position than now. It's only now that I think only 16 of them have been repurposed for COVID testing. But this is what we should have done way back in March, and we'll probably be in a better position than we are now.
What advice have you been giving as chairman of the Ministerial Committee? Because we're seeing, more than half of the active cases which are in Lagos. What more are they doing to reach, our peak and then flatten the curve?
Well, the committee has given advice on various aspects of the control. We looked at the issue of the laboratories, which I already mentioned. We have looked at the need for us to have local capability to validate many of the kits that are coming into the country. We have looked at possibility of the issue of the case management. I think what's more important is the need to get right down to the data that will assist the country and do a proper analysis. By data, I mean, let me give you an example. So if we say 500 samples are positive today, it is important to know, were they all collected the same day? Were they collected 10 days ago? Were they collected 5 days ago? It's only then we can actually know exactly how the epidemic is going. What we are getting right now is what we call result curve, not an epidemic curve. And if you're following on that one, you're always going to be behind the epidemic. And by the time you know what is happening, it already spread beyond your capability. Over.
So now in terms of the risk, are you saying that the country is more at risk as there might actually be more than 40,000, way more than 40,000 confirmed cases?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure we have more than the 40,000 cases we are talking about. And first of all, if you look at they did a study, the same group at the NCDC, in which they look at the number of people who are the positives. About 700 of them are people who have traveled from outside the country. And you have another 2,000 or so, about 25%, who are the contacts of these people who traveled. But then we have a whopping 75% of which we don't know where they got the infection from. And if you don't know where they got the infection from, you don't know who gave it to them, you don't know who they are contact, you can't trace them. And of the number of positive we have, how many of them are actually in the hospitals? How many do we know where they are? A lot of people are positive and who are not showing symptoms. So if we're not following the guidelines which the government is giving, these are possible sources of infection to other parts of the world. And if it takes me 1 week to know that I'm positive, I could have been anywhere in the country, with spreading the disease, So these are the problems that I think we need a proper analysis of the data that we have to ensure that we're actually monitoring and focusing on these epidemics. Who is contacted, who has the disease, which contact do they have, where are they? Are they in hospital? Are they at home? All these are questions that we need all that before we can do a proper control of the epidemic.
Finally, Professor, if you can, in just a few seconds, based on what you've said, based on what it is, according to you, based on the data that currently exists, can we say that it is safe to fully reopen the economy?
Well, you see, one thing about the economy depends on the people. I mean, if you follow the guidelines that the government has put in place, gradually, you should be able to do that. But then you have to have certain set conditions which has to be fulfilled. And particularly the people themselves, we ourselves as people must abide by those rules and regulations. If we don't, you can lock the place up, you can ease it up, the disease will continue to rise until there's no more person to be infected in the country.
Thank you so much, Professor Oyewale Tomori, Chairman, Ministerial Committee, COVID-19 Response. All the best. Thank you for joining us on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.